You looking at me? You got the questions? Let's go. This is week 5 training for the Dopey Challenge, that amazing romp through Walt Disney World in January, 48.6 miles, all 4 theme parks. And this is an easy week. I have 2 45-minute training runs and a 3-miler. You're making it even easier because you've written the script. It's time for some Q&A. I'll definitely tackle some of these questions while I'm out there running, but bear with me. You know, I can't just look down and read them to you, so I'm going to pop them up on the screen, paraphrase, and go a bit by memory. And that leads to the curiosity about my visual impairment. I've mentioned I'm legally blind, probably too much. Patrick wants to know how I dealt with that initial diagnosis. Lavender saw some of my early videos where I said I was homebound for 10 years, and she wanted to know what it was like to be homebound. Oh, Susie Q asked how I started running, and if I was a Disney fan before I started running Disney. And Patrick's second question, if the running and this are an outlet for me to express myself. So let's dive in, keep this as short as possible. I had a small spot in my visual field in 2004, and I was diagnosed with Stargardt's disease. I think it was 30 months, and I was legally blind. My scotoma, or blind spots, take up about 60 degrees of my central vision. They're out of focus, they're uncorrectable. There's maddening spots of light and dark, and absolutely nothing. And 2.5 years to having a great career, to being ushered out the door and somebody making that observation that it was ironic that this is what I was dealing with given my chosen profession. So I had to make some decisions. I could no longer drive, and while I was relearning some basic skills, I was told I can't. I was told you shouldn't. I was told you're not allowed. And I was even laughed at. Now, some of you know I have to sit really close to a monitor just to see it, or even use a 7x magnifier to decipher print. And I have to bend over, kind of like this. And people would look at me and they'd laugh and they say I look weird. And that affects you. So I made the decision to stay inside, I think for sanity and a bit of safety. I wasn't miserable. I had my pups, I had my P90X and my Body Beast and friends and family who could usher me around. And Lavender, it wasn't a lost decade. It was simply the time I needed. In 2015, my cousin came to visit me to celebrate an amazing weight loss achievement. And she was doing that by running the Walt Disney World Half Marathon. I remember being out there with her and with her friends and experiencing the energy and the enthusiasm and the excitement. And I know I couldn't see everything, but I thought, you can do that. You have peripheral vision, you have legs, you can do that. And Susie, I had been a Disney pass holder for years. I was unaware Run Disney even existed, and in hindsight, maybe blissfully unaware of running in general. That's when I decided to start training, and Patrick, that's when I decided to pick up a camera. I remember looking at some of the pictures from the day, thinking that I had missed so much of it. Maybe this was a way I could actually experience it and enjoy it the same way as everyone else. So there you have it. That's my grumpy to happy dwarf story. Or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Frumpy dwarf. See, he gets it. It's not extraordinary, it's not unique. A lot of people have challenges, and they inspire me. This is simply learning to live with life's curveballs. And I'm going to throw one at you. It's time to get moving. It's time for run number 13. I get a lot of questions about my apps. Jenny and then Zach and Tori asked, what apps do you use? What apps do you prefer? And the first one, the colorful one with the guy's voice, that is iCardio, fitdigits.com. I just kind of like it. I like the audio coaching. I like the fact that it's got a lot of flexibility. I like the interface. The second one I use is Endomondo, which was purchased by Under Armour a couple of years ago. They keep improving it. That one has great statistics, great historical data. I also use a Runner's IT. I think it was 99 cents. The free version didn't give a lot of functionality. And then finally, I use something by this company. This is my Road ID bracelet which has a lot of identification material on it, and they make an app that lets somebody track you for safety reasons live, and if you stop for too long or you don't check in, they can see where you are. Let's keep moving. Picking up the pace. Hey, I forgot to mention, not all the apps are free. If you want to hold on to data or you need functionality from a heart rate monitor, double check that your heart rate monitor works with a specific app, because they don't all go together. They don't play well together. Lori wanted to know about my waist pack. She asked what brand is it. I think it's Yuoto. It's some third-party thing on Amazon. It's not the brand that counts or matters. It's actually the price. It was under 23 bucks, and it carries everything, and it's waterproof. I'll put a link below. Jacqueline says she recently picked up a pair of Brooks Launch. Hears everyone talk of Asics and wonders what I prefer. I wear the Asics Cayano. Here's the thing, it's not really about me. Personally, it's about my feet and what they prefer. A few years ago when I started running, I actually did my homework, went on Zappos, Google. I tend to have a pronation problem, and I tend to need some stability control. And I landed on Brooks and Asics. Turned out the Brooks never really broke in for me. They were too stiff and they kind of hurt my feet. Finally went to a running store and had them take some video of me running, and they came to the same conclusion, and they pointed me to the Cayano. They're a bit pricey, but they work, and that's the point. Use what works for you. Good morning.
Workout complete. You rock.
I know, like me, a lot of you really wish there was much more time in the day, so hey, let's come up with a few more Geralds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty neat trick, huh? I'm trying to crunch everything into 3 days this week because it's a big week for me personally. All 3 training runs and all of the video work. And I'm exhausted. And I've got more to do. It's 8 o'clock at night, and this is actually Skype because now I'm the one who's going to answer some questions. I'm going to sit down with Steve and Megan at the Let's Run Disney podcast. It should be a lot of fun.
Welcome to the Let's Run Disney podcast. Join us in our ongoing discussion of all things running at Disney World and Disneyland.
Steve says it should be up in a few days on Stitcher.com and iTunes. I'll see you for run number 14.
Average pace 11:08. Heart rate 1.
Well, I survived my evening experience with the podcast and a frustrating battle with Skype. So another question, Tabitha wants to know how to set priorities and how I organize my day-to-day around running. And I tell you, first of all, put everything in its proper place. Family, health, paying the bills, most important. Secondly, I'm at a little bit of an advantage because for many years my job entailed that I got and hit 4 to 5 deadlines a day. So I pretty much just get things done. And another advantage I have that maybe you don't, I have mad respect for anybody with children, small children, like my Disney running buddy, because their needs outweigh yours. I mean, I know I have Coach Spanky, but we're talking about the 2-legged variety. Let me keep moving. We're hitting crazy wildlife time. Time to run. Got a fly bird. No, no, no. No. My little ankle biters. Here comes a truck. When it comes to running, you just have to make it happen, Captain. I mean, find the time, that quiet time, 45 minutes, 1 hour, enlist everyone you know. Loud muffler. Enlist everyone you know, and they will push you. They'll encourage you. They'll make sure you have the time. Remember, whether it's a 5K, 10K, half or full, if you don't put in the time, you probably aren't going to cross the line. So Tabitha, you know what's important. Everything else is gravy. So do what I do. 3 things. Number 1, make a list every day. Set little goals on a daily basis, 5, 6, 8 things, and tackle them. Write them down. Put them here when you have the time. Number 2, let it go at the end of the day. Because remember the adage, your inbox will always be full. And then number 3, every once in a while I let myself have a meltdown to the chagrin of some of the people around me, but it's a great release, and I just move on. I've got a lot of interest in the coach here, right, Spank? Thank you for the questions and suggestions about using a Thunder shirt. His big brother had one. I just need to make sure that it fits him. I'm a proud Frenchie parent. The K Crossan told me they have 2, and Perfectly Posh says she has the XL variety of this guy, English Bulldogs. Whatever they look like, they make great coaches and great companions. The other guy you're going to see around here from time to time, Stephanie says she literally LOL'd when she saw Olaf. I'm going to let you in on a little secret I told her. I use him and Sven sometimes to set the autofocus and exposure control on my camera. Kristen wants to know how I keep from getting bored on these training runs, and especially, she says, on a treadmill, or a dead mill, she called it. Well, I don't have one because I save my money for other gear and gadgets, and I like to see the miles on the apps. And while I'm out there running, I focus on my breathing and my pacing and the video, and because I don't see so well, I guess the scenery just doesn't really matter. While I'm doing elliptical on the Max Trainer, I pump up the tunes and sing out loud. My fellow Temple alum Gregory wants to know if I can go into some detail about the Magic Mile. He doesn't really get it. Suggests maybe I do a whole thing on it, and I may take you up on that because I don't quite get it. Typically, whatever pace I'm maintaining late in the fall with my camera, that's what I finish the race at. So there's a track nearby. I think in October I'll have somebody run me over there, and I'll do an entire video on just the Magic Mile.
3.24 miles. Pace 9:28. Average pace 10:45.
I can't believe I got all of it done in about half of the time. You can check out this week's training runs. Now it's time for a little B-Day R&R at DS. Disney Springs. And that brings up the final Disney questions. Kelly wants to know if I'm going to run Star Wars again. Yes, I'm planning on the half marathon. I just haven't purchased the bib yet. Amanda asked if she's ever going to see a virtual running shorts video. It's been tough finding the time with the Dopey training. I'm working on it. Stay tuned. Julie wonders what's the best place and time to eat before one of the races. That's a really tough question. I think everything at Disney is great. And I was just on mydisneyexperience.com. There's 134 restaurants. Now, I like Rose and Crown, and I had a great marathon chef special at Il Molino at the Swan. Bang for the buck. You can't beat the commissary area at the Land. Best time to eat, probably between 4 and 5, but those reservations go very quickly, so make sure you book early and keep some snacks in your room. Finally, Alex wonders, what is my favorite race? You know, Star Wars is sticking in my head from this year. However, there is a sweet spot for the Walt Disney World Half Marathon. It was my first race, and there is nothing like running through the castle. Hey, you can keep me motivated. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. And maybe, we'll do Q&A again, but I have a question for you, and you can leave it in the comment area below. What dwarf are you? And it doesn't have to be one of the Disney dwarfs. There are some from The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, even Harry Potter. Maybe in a few weeks we'll do that. Coming up next time, my eyes, my video gear.